Annexation is appropriate. What is your position on annexation as a means to improve the city's financial situation by adding to its income tax revenue? And we're going to do 90 seconds, if that's all right, and I'll move on from there.
Thank you. I believe in annexation, but only when it's a win-win situation. I would never bully or coerce anyone to come into the city. We have to make sure that it is a win-win situation. So if we're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on sewer lines and water, and we're going to gain $5,000 for it, it's not a win-win situation. It's costing us money. So yes, I agree with annexation, but only if it's truly a win-win situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oden?
Generally speaking, I'm against annexation. I don't feel, especially given the present financial status of the town, I don't think that we have any business taking on any more than we already have at the present time. Although, I should say there are some exceptions to that. If a property owner, for example, wants to be annexed in and is right on the border, I think we could handle that on a case-by-case basis. But as it stands now, and given the state of the city, I don't think we have any business taking any more than we already have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chicanelli?
I have always been against annexation, and I will continue to be against annexation. Folks, let's get back to the real world here. I've been a strong proponent of annexation, always will be a strong proponent of annexation. Don't believe me with the results of annexation. Just look around you. I stated earlier, our population increase. Main reason, not the only reason, because we did get a lot of infill housing in some of our older neighborhoods, but primarily it's because of the growth, annexing farm areas, agricultural areas, which then develop into housing. Further south, look at that whole area from Erie Street south, Nova Technology Park, whether ARE and U.S. Chemical, and Sterilite further south, and that whole region, Massillon Marketplace, none of that was here 20 years ago. So annexation does work. Give you some statistics. 6,269 acres have been added to the city limits since I've been mayor. On just recent annexations, just some recent annexations, that meant to the city coffers a little over $22 million of added city income tax. If it wasn't for annexation, we will not be talking about the Massillon that we have today.
However, I am not running specifically for the purposes of rezoning land. I am here because, frankly, I'm tired of the way the city government is run. I believe that the present administration has been in far too long and needs to go. Plain and simple. As far as my personal stake in this, you will not see me getting elected and all of a sudden we've got a zoning change on the south side of Lincoln Way. You know, I've put this to Frank before, the Planning Commission and City Council on multiple occasions, and they've said no. We've let the voters take care of it. They said no. Fine. That's it. The people have spoken. I'm not saying there may not be another ballot initiative at some point, but I'm not going to use the abuse, or I'm not going to abuse the power of the office for my own personal gain. That being said, one other issue is I do have the right to appoint people on the Planning Commission, which handles zoning requests. And in the event that anything personal would happen, or any personal property would be on there, I would obviously excuse myself from any votes in that issue.
Makes reference to the use of using CDBG money for the Hampton Inn, and it's supposed to be for low-income families. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with this situation. Would you like to address? Do you understand the question, sir?
Yeah, we have 3 minutes to answer this because it can get
Actually, going to be less than that. You got 90 seconds.
90 seconds.
Talk fast.
I guess. Very misunderstood project, the Hampton Inn project. But that all being said, the city gets about $800,000 to $1 million a year in CDBG dollars. These come from the federal government. We distribute these dollars to a lot of different agencies. We support a lot of social agencies. We do a lot of projects with these. We resurface streets. We've helped a lot of different groups with these dollars. One of the projects that keeps coming up is the Canal View project, which we're project that was actually started in 1998. We're talking about it now. But the misnomer and misinformation is it's actually a loan from HUD, and it is not a mortgage payment. We are not, in fact, we have a second mortgage on the project. The city does. The bank has the first, we have the second. So when you hear people saying we're paying the mortgage of the hotel, that's totally inaccurate. It's not true. We have a loan. The loan is from HUD, and then we put money aside in our CDBG budget, which is called a Section 108 loan, to pay for any shortfalls that the developer does not pay to meet the loan payment. These kinds of projects happen all over the country. We do have a Hilton Hotel in the middle of downtown Massillon. I'm proud of this project, and I feel very confident that it's a good project for downtown Massillon and a good project for Massillon in general. It's the only hotel in Massillon.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ms. Canizero?
Thank you.
Third?
I would never have voted on this contract to utilize community block grant dollars for a private hotel. Those dollars, we've spent about over $2 million, and at the end, in 2019, we have a balloon payment. There's no plan to pay for that balloon payment, which is going to be a little less than $1 million. We don't have a plan for that. What are we going to do? Use all of our community block grant dollars at the very end to pay for it? And that's going to, we won't even have enough community block grant dollars in that year to pay for it. I would never have voted on this. This is a bad decision, a bad deal for Massillon. Can you imagine what we could have done in our city in low-income areas with $2 million? We could have done great improvements. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ozer?
You know, we have a hotel. Phenomenal. We also have a huge pile of debt that goes along with it that we're responsible for. I mean, do you have any plan to pay this balloon payment at all? I mean, how are we going to pay it?
Our form here is not to have an interaction.
Oh.
Okay.
I mean,
I understand that, but the form isn't set up for
the
it.
developer's on the hook for the payment. The payment will be made. They signed a contract with the city. They have to pay the city what is owed to the city.
Our format really doesn't have.
And they will do that.
Back and forth.
Everyone forgets that. They
Okay.
will do that.
Are you, anything else to say, sir, on this question?
No.
Okay. This next question is also from the audience, and I think about the last of the ones to address to a particular candidate, it'll be to Ms. Canizero-Perry. It says, Kathy, understanding your role as a city councilwoman and that connection to the budget issue, what do you think you can do differently as mayor that you couldn't do as a council person?
Well, as a mayor of the city of Massillon, I would do several things differently. I have been talking about a performance audit for the past year and a half. And that performance audit will compare our city with cities just like us. And the city of North Canton did this, and they saved hundreds of thousands of dollars for their city. And they've done an excellent job. So number one, it would be a performance audit. Number two would be a strategic plan. I believe we need a strategic plan that's going to have a 1-year, a 3-year, and a 5-year plan. And it doesn't mean you have to follow along with that plan. What it does mean is that you have a vision of where you're going. And I think that's needed in our city. I have some wonderful ideas for the city of Massillon that includes 21 and 30 and some other areas. And it's not just my ideas that are important, it's that we utilize everyone's ideas. I've met with multiple people over these past, since January, since I decided to run for mayor. And they've got fabulous ideas. It can't be my idea. My idea is not the greatest idea. Everyone has to have input, and then all the ideas can be great together.
Well, as far as the budgets, I mean, the local news media has covered the budget tremendously. Another misnomer, when people say that the budget does not balance, that's not true. The budget does balance. The city of Massillon is a statutory city. Cannot operate in the red, plain and simple. Like everything else, our dollars come in as the year progresses, just like in your households. You don't get the money that you make, you don't get your salary up front in January. You get it throughout the year to pay your bills and to do whatever you want to do with the dollars to support your family. The city operates the same way. It's just the political season, and of course, some folks try to take advantage of it. fact is, my budget balanced, council's budget balanced. It's the same budget. They only did is they took dollars out of certain line items and stuck them in the police and fire line items. Proof of this is, look at the general fund number in my budget that I proposed to council back in November of last year. Look at the general fund total that was finally passed by council in March. It's the same number. Exactly.
Tax increment financing, TIFs, I guess, TIF, when implemented, which other taxing entities, if any, should be held harmless?
I feel that they've been overused in this town, although I think there's something that is definitely an important piece of doing business when conducting city government business, especially when coming to attract new businesses to town. That being said, I think they also need to be used with caution. The amount and how many years need to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. I'm not against them, but I am against using them haphazardly.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chicken-on?
I'm in favor of tax increment financing. We have 8 of them, 2 that are actually in effect right now. One we're getting money from, and that's Massillon Marketplace. Tax increment financing is used all over the state of Ohio. It's a way that the project generates certain real estate taxes. The recently passed TIFs, there are several, there's a couple different TIFs, but the recently passed TIFs are what they call non-school. The schools are given 100% of the dollars that they would ordinarily get. What happens is the other entities, on the improvement only, loses those dollars, and those dollars are collected and put in a special fund for the city to do capital improvement projects like street resurfacing or street projects or sanitary sewers, storm sewers, whatever kind of infrastructure needs the city would need actually fill that would be necessary. It's a good project because what's happening is the development's actually paying for any improvement that's needed in that particular area. So many cities use it. And the other entities are not losing money, another misnomer. They are still collecting the dollars that they're collecting at the present time. What they do end up losing is any improvement, any new part of the project, or any new development. But they don't lose money. They still get the money at the rate prior to the development.
Thanks, sir. Ms. Ketzer-Perrin?
Thank you, Mr. King. I am in favor of tax increment financing. I am not in favor of non-school TIFs. Non-school TIFs take money away from our Massillon Library, our mental health residents, our DD residents, formerly known as MRDD residents. It takes money away from those people. And it does take money away from them. What happens is, and it's kind of hard to understand, and even council had to take time to understand it all, but what happens is if something is worth $1 million, then they make improvements on it, and now it's worth $8 million. Those entities that would get that tax dollar on that, they lost out on whatever that improvement is, that $7 million. That's losing money. It's gone. It goes to an account in our city, and in that account, we use it for infrastructure improvements. Now, the residents in the city of Massillon that have mental health issues and have developmental disabled issues could utilize that money throughout the state. That's taken away. Now, I know I have 30 seconds left, but I want you to know, Kirk Schuring and I have talked, and after this election is over, we plan to work together to close that loophole, because that's what it is. Somebody found the loophole, and they're using it to take away money from the most vulnerable, and I'm against that.